What's up, YouTube? ProTech here, back with another StarCraft 2 video for you today. Today is going to be another video for the Learn How to Play Random 2v2 series. And without further ado, let's get into the game. So, at the start of this game, I know that I am up against a Protoss and a Zerg team. And so as of late, I've been experimenting with a Quick Hellion open that is just designed to send your units across the map, just 2 Hellions, and try to wipe out as many probes as you can. And so whenever I get ZP as a as the opponent, I've been opting for this build. So again, this is just kind of more or less experimental, but it has been doing pretty well. So anyway, I know going into this game, I know who both of my opponents are. I've played them many times, and so just changing up playstyle in general can be pretty good. I do play under a barcode, so my strategies can typically be hidden, but there are ways around that, so I always try to, change it up and whatnot. Now, you'll notice I tagged the probe here, and I stay on the probe, right? And the reason I do this is because my teammate is scouting, and so he shouldn't be held responsible to deal with the worker that's scouting our base. That's just one of the things that you should do if you aren't going to scout. So here I just do a standard reactor factory open, just typical. Excuse me, Reaper expand into factory, typical open. And I'm going to send the Reaper across the map with my teammate. And one of the things you'll note here is that when you play as a double Terran team, it's a good idea to send both Reapers in the same spot, because you can get a lot more damage in, whereas if it was just one, right? So we get 2 workers there, and you'll see, I mean, he doesn't have a choice but to pull workers, right? He has to pull workers, otherwise he's just going to keep losing way too many. And so, because he has to pull workers, and on top of it he lost workers, that just means that this build should, in theory, do a lot more damage than it normally would ever do, right? Because everything that he does from this point forward is really far behind. So when I send these first 2 Hellions across the map, that is exactly what I'm thinking. Well, he pulled workers, and when we scouted, we can see a Nexus there, so it's obviously some kind of an expand build. And generally speaking, what you'll see with expand builds is 2 Stalker, and if it's 2 Stalker, 2 Hellion will do a lot of damage. And then my teammate, he pulled the Stalkers out of position. So I was able to get a couple of more workers there. But one of the things that you don't normally see is that speed link count. That speed link count was really high. But if you go up to 4 Hellions with this build, it just delays everything else. So whenever I do this build, I kind of just bank off of the fact that Zerg isn't going to make that many speedlings at the start. So in this game, I know that Protoss is... He's not necessarily really far behind, but he's definitely set back, right? And so what I'm thinking here is all I need to do is get out some tanks and then do a drop. Because I should be able to, by the time I'm ready to do my drop, Protoss players are usually playing really greedy. So once my double drop is ready, I'm just going to check the third base, the Protoss third, to see if I can kill it. And again, this is because of everything that had happened in the early game. So I go for the drop, and I take the long way around because I'm really trying to hide it, right? But then I see my drop run over a speedling. And then so from this point forward, it's like, okay, I have to pick a spot that isn't going to get blinked on, right? So I decide to drop here and check for the third rather than going into the main. And I build the missile turrets because typically Protoss players are opening blanks, so they have access to the Twilight Council, right? So the Twilight Council grants you access to Dark Templar. That's why I build the turrets. And then, of course, mutas fly into my teammate's base. And then from here, I can't really do anything for my teammate because I don't have enough Marines. So I literally just have to sit here and I have to make a bunch of Marines just to make sure that I have enough to actually kill the mutas that are fucking with my teammate. So the drop gets cleaned up, but the good part is I'm able to lift off and get out of there and keep him off of a third base. Because if that Protoss player gets up to a third base while these mutas are harassing, it's basically just game over. Because there's no way to deal with Ling Bane, Colossus, Storm, Mutalisk when you have to try and carry your teammate after he lost a bunch of his shit to Mutalisk play, right? So from here, I know that I'm on a timer because that drop that I did in his main just got cleaned up, right? So now I have no vision on the map. And I have Mutalisk that my teammate is getting shit on by, and I have to handle that. So I'm on a timer. And I decide to build the third base here because I feel like, because 1-1 finished, the next attack that I do should, in theory, do a lot of damage. And so I just wanted to have a backup plan in the event that the next push that I do doesn't actually work. But as it stands right now in this game, I know that even if Protoss gets a third base, I still have a hefty upgrade advantage. And so right now I'm just kind of waiting to get anti-muta defenses up so that I can make a push. And again, the backup plan here is that third base. But I know, because I was able to cancel the Protoss third, I know that my upgrade advantage is really big right now. And so delaying my push a little bit is totally fine. So I opt for the planetary at the third here. Normally you don't want to do this. Normally you want to have at least 3 orbitals, right? But the problem is that my teammate took way too much damage to the Mutalisk, and so I feel like the only way to actually win 1v2 is if you planetary that third.
기지가 공격받고 있습니다. 아군이 공격받고 있습니다.
And like losing the main here is totally fine because Protoss doesn't have a third. And the map is incredibly favored to tank Marine.
기지가 공격받고 있습니다.
So I feel pretty confident going into going further into this game, even if the Zerg player isn't necessarily behind,
업그레이드 완료.
because the terrain
동맹이 공격받고 있습니다.
I play at an advantage because of the terrain. The main issue here is that I'm not macroing Medivacs very well, so I have nothing to heal up my army. But as you can see, the upgrade advantage pays dividends tenfold, right?
동맹이 공격받고 있습니다.
And like overstimming here is totally fine because I have such a high C-SAN count from my teammate, right?
동맹이 기지가 공격받고 있습니다. 동맹이 공격받고 있습니다. 아군이 공격받고 있습니다.
So I send this army back because getting my teammate getting his third base up is really important. Because his army is what takes care of all of the Banes, right?
동맹이 공격받고 있습니다. 기지가 공격받고 있습니다.
And the Protoss player from this point forward is basically out of the game because Protoss really needs to have a third base in order to deal with Terran DPS. Because they need the additional gas to get up like Colossus and Storm and stuff like that. So I can basically play pretty reckless and there should be no way for us to lose the game from this point forward.
아군이 공격받고 있습니다. 동맹 기지가 공격받고 있습니다.
And from here, you know, it's just a matter. It's like rally, 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 rally your units across the map and don't even worry about your economy because the Protoss is so irrelevant in the game. You just want to make sure that Zerg doesn't get creep out there and he doesn't get up to Hive Tech. Based on what happened in this game, right? So that's going to be it for the video today, guys. Thank you all very much for tuning in. Hit that thumbs up if you like the content, and let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you, guys, and have a good motherfucking day. Peace out.